People recently believed that the peaks it reached in 2017 were extreme, but you might want to reconsider because 2022 has put those earlier highs to shame. As you can imagine, this has led to many investors to claim that Bitcoin is in a bubble and that they should avoid it because it will eventually burst. While there's some truth to this, there's also a whole other side to the story. In this video, I want to provide some nuance, which is something we don't really see all that often in this day and age. You see, a lot of people like to jump on either side of the issue, whether that be the bull side or the crash side. I'll do my best to present you with a complete picture of the situation. Prior to investing in Bitcoin or even considering it, you need to have a fundamental understanding of what it is. Let's give it some thought then. Online transactions are currently increasing in number. Am I correct or am I mistaken? The issue is that each transaction is processed by a bank or credit card firm, which gets a commission. We not only trust these large billion-dollar financing companies to handle everything properly, but they also take this percentage. They will protect our information. They'll guarantee that the transaction is accurate. Our accounts will be protected from hackers and internal company personnel. These risks exist right now. But what if there was a simple, secure way to cut out these middlemen? I present to you Bitcoin, a digital currency where users simultaneously record all transactions rather than large banks holding them in the ledger. There's therefore no way to deceive the system, eliminating transaction fees, removing all intermediaries. The idea behind Bitcoin is brilliant. They have been keeping an eye on this technology and have been buying Bitcoin in large quantities by flooding the market with their dollars. This has caused the price to soar to absurd heights, which has led to the predictable anxiety that Bitcoin is in a bubble and will burst. I'm sure you've seen this as frequently as I have. Let's first discuss the arguments in favor of this theory. You must understand that there's no insurance policy for Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin might suddenly drop, and it's not as we've reached the minimum price of 5,000. If it declines, you'll receive a refund. The current economy is strange, which is another factor. Nobody can dispute this. Free money is being given to people in fairly nice sums who are not used to it. Now, we can simply state that in terms of stimulus checks, some people do require this money to pay for food, water, electricity, etc. But many people view it as extra cash and wonder, let's purchase some Bitcoin to drive up prices. Doing so is simple. At least when compared to 3 to 10 years ago, purchasing Bitcoin is simple nowadays. Simply use PayPal, Square, or create a free Robinhood account to start purchasing Bitcoin. Due to these variables, you have amateurs and beginners who receive free money but are unfamiliar with the market and find it difficult to convert it to Bitcoin. Many investors are making these valid points when they claim that the price is excessively high and inflated. Every investor should at the very least be aware of them. I strongly advise looking at the price history of Bitcoin. What are the peaks and troughs of the prior bubbles? How is it going right now? To begin with, simply because prices historically followed a certain pattern does not guarantee that it will continue to do so in the future. However, it may provide us with some hints. So, in essence, there are two major bubbles and crashes in the history of Bitcoin that we can learn from. At the time, not many of you were investing in Bitcoin. This graph makes my assumptions appear modest, but the percentage points were significant. As a result, the cost was $114 on October 3, 2013. As you can see, in just 3 months, the price experienced a significant run-up. It increased to a high of $1,152. So in just 3 months, there have been an increase of about 10 times that amount. After that, it began a very gradual decline that didn't reach its lowest until January 2015, 2 years later. The lowest price was $172. This graph doesn't quite demonstrate it, but that's one piece of history we need to consider. The second point is that it was a 2017 bubble crash, which I'm sure you are all aware of. There, we observed a price increase of nearly a year and a rush of investors into Bitcoin. The cost increased from $754 in December 2016 to $16,749 a year later. We are all aware of what followed. Bitcoin fell to its lowest point a year after it reached $34,000. In light of this, history suggests that the peak of the Bitcoin bubble may not occur for several months, or maybe a full year. Nobody is certain. I did wish to draw attention to the intriguing fact that, with the exception of the 2017 catastrophe, all previous major collisions were merely preludes to what was to come. One of the main defenses of the theory is that they were only minor speed bumps. They advise people not to worry too much about a crash since when things are considered over the long run, they believe that Bitcoin will eventually be worth considerably more than merely $20, $30, $50, $100 per coin. You know, professional investors like Katie Wood believe that it's possible for Bitcoin to cost more than $50,000 per coin. However, you ought to be asking why. What supporting evidence do you have for these predictions? Let me now attempt to explain some of these false claims. What is the total value of all Bitcoins in the world? At the time this video was being produced, its estimated value was roughly $600 billion. That is meaningless. We must compare it to something, so let's do it with Apple, whose market capitalization is $2.2 trillion. To give you an idea, consider that the value of gold as a whole is approximately $12 trillion, which is 20 times greater than the value of Bitcoin. Everyone claims that Bitcoins are expensive. I wouldn't be so eager to judge them, at least not by this standard. They still have an upward trajectory to travel in the long term. So in response to economists' worries that the Fed will interfere with the dollar by printing trillions of dollars annually and devaluing them relative to Bitcoin every day, there's no such issue. Additionally, you shouldn't worry about major banks and credit card providers interfering with your transactions. Remove it. You are no longer required to put your hard-earned money in the hands of these large businesses and governments. When it comes to currency, it really is a game changer, which is why huge institutions are starting to see its significance and make investments in it. But wait! Have you subscribed and hit the notification bell yet? Hit the thumbs up and give us your support, as we will do our best to bring you spectacular videos like these. Let's jump back to the video. A financial services company called Square has put $50 million into Bitcoin. An investment company called Grayscale has $10 billion. You may be aware that Rick Ryder, the CEO of BlackRock, the largest investment fund manager in the world, declared that cryptocurrencies were here to stay. This raises the question of whether we should continue to purchase Bitcoin despite its high price. Is it still a wise investment? Here are my opinions about it, guys. Obviously, there's a huge risk associated with using Bitcoin, but there's a very large potential profit. By this, I mean that there's no question that you may lose everything. For instance, a different cryptocurrency might be more fully adopted than Bitcoin, or perhaps cryptocurrencies are simply not yet fully integrated into society. The possibility of losing everything is there. On the other hand, you could be able to triple 10 times, 20 times, or even 30 times your initial capital. You know, looking at what Bitcoin is compared to, say, Apple or even gold, it's not even close to their size, which is why the upside is still huge, and it's for these reasons that I like to own at least a little bit of Bitcoin in my portfolio. I know, I could lose all of that, but I can also double or triple my original investment, and that's why I think Bitcoin is worthwhile. I never bet on anything too large, I only bet what I can afford to lose. That's all for now. We hope you have enjoyed yourselves and learned something new. If you did, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of our videos. Click on our previous videos and learn how to invest in stocks for beginners, or click on 4 investor tips you should use to keep your knowledge growing.